we missed last week. I mean, we had a few guys compete down in the Cyclone Open, and want to highlight two guys because I think anytime you win in your last match, you finish out, I think it's always good. So Paradise Brothers, actually Logan lost his first match and then he came back and won 4 after that. So good to see those guys compete, especially if you take a loss, how you respond to it. Always important. But as far as Arizona State, I mean, I think dang proud of Artie and that was a great match. For 5-3, 1 takedown. I mean, that was about as much action as you can get, and I think in a 1 takedown match. And again, I know he lost the match, but how he competed. Larkin's, heck, he's one of the best guys in the weight class. And really, I think to me, that's just the importance of how guys go out and compete, if they win or lose. So I see Ryder Downey, I think, was in on 4 attacks. He finished 1, but the things that we're working on, the things that we're talking about doing, and giving ourselves those kind of opportunities and giving ourselves more opportunities, they're taking hold in competition, and that takes a little bit of time. So to me, those are things that you can highlight as a coach. Like, hey, I know we're not exactly where we want to be. I don't know if you ever are, but there's progress being made, and the things that we're talking about doing, they're actually being implemented. They're happening in competition. Trevor had to dig deep in that match. Farber getting bonus points is huge. Max Brady, wrestling just got overwhelmed in a few positions. Guy's really strong in a few positions, and you got to learn how to stay out of some of those. And actually, he got to him right at the end, doubled something up. So you certainly learn. I think sometimes the first time out in the crowd sometimes can get to you a little bit, and those always get better. I think every time you go out, Ratchie having him back, getting healthy. We got 2 guys I think are competing very well at that weight class. I said Ron Simmons having a pretty dang good year, scoring points, and I love that he got bonus points. It's always huge for our team. Didn't have an 84-pounder. I guess was here, but then got sick. It's not very ideal for their team. 97, John, actually when John got that cradle, I don't know if anyone saw that position, he didn't even have his hands locked yet. Then got him kind of over and then was able to lock his hands, get back points. A good win for him. And then, Guth, we got a few heavyweights that are dinged up a little bit, and when you get the opportunity, and you try to go make the most of it, no matter who it is. And I think that's one thing that hopefully you see with our team a little bit is, the guys talk about next man up, but there's a lot of pride in that. There's a lot of pride in getting the opportunity to go out and support your team and be the guy out for your team. Or if you're the guy, I'll use Wyatt as an example. I mean, that guy's the biggest cheerleader we have right now. I mean, literally the biggest cheerleader we have. Finding a way to still move the team forward, know your role, and do it as well as possible, even if you're disappointed. And that's what we talked about a little bit, because you have some battles going on in weight classes right now, and one guy gets to go out there, another guy has to sit and watch. And how do you handle and manage that is, to me, I'm always taking note of that. Taking note of that team, because they talk about our culture, and culture is actually lived, it's active. Obviously, it's what you allow, but it's also, to me, what's enforced and what's celebrated. And I'll tell you what I celebrated for our guys is in that dual meet was the risk taking, wrestling through positions, win or lose, and that's going to give us the best chance. When we move forward, when we go to Oklahoma State this weekend, which they got a hell of a team. I think they have 5 true freshmen in their lineup. 4. That makes sense. Not true freshmen, but you get my point. They have some kids that are doing very well. I mean, I think 3 of those guys are still undefeated. So we're starting to develop a little bit of a rivalry. We've been a little bit of back and forth, and I know we're gonna have to be ready to fire down there. We're gonna have our guns blazing, so to speak, because they have a good team. They have a young team. They have a team that comes out and works to score points, and they have a good home crowd. We've been there before, but I feel like you know, I think it's got stepped up a few notches. You know, for me in a weekend like this too, I always try to liken it to, you know, the national tournament, the Big 12 tournament, because you have to go day after day, but also, you know, we'll have a Friday night and then you'll have all Saturday, you know, so managing the nerves a little bit, managing the energy, figuring out kind of your weight, what you want to put in. To me, it's always a great opportunity for us to have those, even if they're on the road, just having the back-to-back. I mean, if you want to, I mean, really, we want to be on Saturday nights. And I always tell, I can't say what I say to the guys, but Saturday night, you know who it's for. It's for the bleeding boys. I mean, that's what you want to wrestle on Saturdays. And so we kind of get used to wrestling on Saturday nights. So we got Friday and Saturday night coming up down in Oklahoma, and I don't know, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself with Oklahoma because we got to take care of Oklahoma State first. But I know, I think Iowa State will be down there too. So, you know, I kind of like that the state of Iowa tries to invade Oklahoma. But both those teams are really good, and I tell you, Oklahoma State's got a good young team. So, I guess any questions?
Sometimes when you go into crowds like that, teams can feed off them. Is that what you guys kind of, you know, you see with your team sometimes too when you go down a hostile environment like that? People are booing you, they're on you.
Yeah, I mean,
can you feed off that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm goofy. I mean, I love it. I'm like, fine, you know, boo me, get out. You know, I always like to chirp back a little bit in a good way, you know, because they're like, sit down. I'm like, come make me. You can't make me sit down. I can stand up all I want. You know, just kind of playing with the crowd a little bit, and you know, you try to make friends. Hopefully, they appreciate good wrestling, though. Mm-hmm. You know, they appreciate teams that they come out and compete their asses off, even if their team loses. They want their team to win, but they appreciate good wrestling. So we want to bring great wrestling to the table, and then we want to win over the fans around us, especially because there's always people kind of beside you. So you always try to win them over a little bit. I think the best thing to do in enemy territory is to keep it quiet. You know, I mean, if there's anything that to me it probably is more satisfying as a competitor, is if you're in hostile territory and all you can hear is your group of people. You know, and we've had that a few times down there, which was a whole lot of fun. That's some of my best memories. But it's certainly something you can feed off of. Sometimes I think people can take it the wrong way. I mean, we're trying to be able to manage every situation and scenario, hostile crowd or not. You know, I mean, the national tournament, you know, you have, 18,000 fans. So can you drown some of that noise out? Can you use it? I think you got to be able to use it, manipulate in a way that's going to be beneficial to you. So I love the opportunities when we'll be able to get that, and I love that there's a hostile crowd on your back, and our guys take some exception to it. So again, the only way to get the best of them is how you go out and compete, and then keep them quiet as much as you possibly can.
I got a non-wrestling question here. I get some team building recently. Who's the best bowler on your team? Who's the worst bowler on your team?
Oh man, well Freeman, he's coming back. He had UCL surgery, so he's coming back from that. I mean, I think he's probably the best bowler. Simmons actually pretty dang solid. Unfortunately, like Trevor and Corey's team won, so those guys think they're kind of best at everything. He got a little thumb injury. Me and my daughter's wife went yesterday, and I actually was able to use a thumb, so it was a lot better. No, I just think it's good to get together outside of wrestling, and you know, we love to compete. We compete in everything we do, and there wasn't a whole lot of good bowlers. I'm tell you, there were some league guys kind of looking around. I think like anybody we can pick up, and no one was looking forward to picking any of those guys up. So. Anything else?
How do you guys go to Wars this weekend?
I don't know. We got to get. Got some battles still going on in weight classes, so I'm trying to figure that out. Trying to keep guys healthy. You know, I mean, it's a challenge just in college athletics in general. and then try to keep them healthy physically, and then try to keep them mentally in a good place. Unfortunately, talked a little bit about Corey, and he's gonna have to have knee surgery. Just things happen, and I'm trying to figure out how, when they happen in competition, how I can combat those. Practice room, hopefully you have a pretty good handle on that. Competition, so then I'm trying to figure out what we can do on our end, because obviously significant injuries. I can't say, I don't know if they hinder progress. You guys understand what I'm saying? Because it's how you use anything, but I think we had a guy that was wrestling pretty dang good, showing he's one of the best guys in the country. Now you don't have him the rest of the year, but then you have a guy that is a true freshman that's ready to step up and be like, Coach, I'm the guy, put me out there. And you love when guys take those opportunities and they look to make the most of them. They're listening, so they're listening to what we're talking about doing, and that you don't wait for your time, you really make your time. And so a guy like Max Brady's doing that, but I don't know, I'm racking my brain as a coach to have these guys prepared as possible for competition, but also then keep them healthy. Because you keep them healthy, then you can continue to progress and you can cover ground, because consistency is the key to so much of it. So I don't know who I'm taking there. I'm just trying to get ready for today's practice, and then we'll kind of go from there.